Hi guys, it's Linda Dolke. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia. Today we're making something very cute. These cute little coffee pouches, they are a fantastic gift. They're simple and easy to make, and I think you're really going to love them. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button down the bottom. Thanks guys. So today we're making these cute little coffee sachet holders. I think actually you could use them probably for a whole bunch of different things. This one I have actually used a sachet of coffee, just a little cappuccino one. But there are so many different flavoured coffees you can get these days. You could put all kinds of different things. And if you can find hot chocolate like this too, that would also be great. This one I've actually just done a little long cello bag and popped it in there with some coffee beans in it, of one of my favourite grind of coffee. So so that looks really cute with its little window showing through there. That's a little vellum one. So there's so many different ways you can do these, but I just want to show you how I did the basic holder. Right, so when I came up with this idea, well, believe it or not, I did come up with this idea on my own, but then of course when I went onto YouTube I discovered that it's been done before. Mine is slightly different, but essentially there's several different ways you can do this. This is the bundle I'm using. It's called the Coffee Break Suite. It's on page 30 and 31 of the 2017 annual catalogue. And you can see they've got some really, really cute samples. I think these are some of my favourite samples in the whole book. There's your stamps and your matching framelits that cut out all the different cups and the little words and the foam and the lids for the coffee, so all sorts of different things. And it doesn't have to be coffee either. You could use this for I've seen it done for fruit juices with, like the ones that you get from Boost Juice, with your different coloured juices in them and little dome on top. So there's lots of different ways you can use them, and hot chocolates too, of course. There's little corrugated accents that match. There's a cardstock pack. There's this awesome coffee paper, which we're going to use a little bit doing this today. And there's just really, really lovely. If you like coffee or any kind of hot drink, this is a really great set to think about. And it makes great gifts. So let me show you how I put it together. For this, I actually used the mini treat bag dies. They are from a set called, I think it's called the mini treat bags inlets dies. Okay, and they've got lots of different shapes in them. They've got stars and hearts and bows, words and all sorts of bits and pieces, but what we're mostly using today are this piece here, the big piece that I would normally use. So to make one of the normal treat bags, I would have a large size piece which I cut out with this die, and then a smaller piece that I cut out with that die. Do I have any of those around? No, I don't, but you get the idea anyway. It's this size, okay, and I would put the two pieces together and make my treat box. So you've got your small bit there at the back, and you've got this flap. All the pre-scoring is done for you, which is fantastic. You haven't got to think about where your score lines need to go, because the Big Shot actually scores it as well as cuts the outline for you. So there's your flap at the back, and the whole thing gets glued together, so you have a whole treat bag, and they're great for all kinds of things. However, I wanted to do a skinny one for like a coffee pouch. So there's a couple of different ways. You can use the small one and do two of them, and then use this flap here at the side on one turned in and then on the other side turned in. But the only thing is you won't get a flap at the bottom. So to seal it at the bottom, you'd either need to shorten it and fold it over at the bottom, or you'd need to use a strong glue and actually just stick the bottom together. But I don't think it looks as nice as the flap. So to have one with a flap, we're actually going to use the bigger one, which cuts this shape. Okay, so you should be able to see that's the shape from there. And you can see it's already got a flap built in, as well as this piece here, which would normally be folded to the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my trimmer in. I've already gone ahead and cut this piece. And you'll find it easier to do if you have the flat edge towards the top if you're cutting trimmer, or if you are someone who uses the bottom of the trimmer. Make sure your flat edge is against that rather than the serrated edge. Now, what I want to do is I want to have the small side, the small width towards the left, and I want to have the bigger section towards the right where my cutting edge is. And this piece here, from here to here, is 2 1/8 of an inch wide, okay, which means that the piece at the back also needs to be 2 1/8 of an inch. but I also need to allow a little bit for a folding flap. Okay, so that means what I'm going to do is so the whole thing would be 4 1/4, but I'm going to make it 4 1/2. So I just need to make sure that it's straight. Just line it up with the grid on my cutter. And then I'm going to use my cutting blade to cut that edge off. So now this is 4 1/2 inches wide from here to here, okay? And then I'm going to move it so that I'm at the 4 1/4 mark. And this time, make sure that my cutting blade is out of the way, and I'm going to score it with the lighter scoring blade up here. I'm going to score that so that now I've got a little bit of a flap here. Move that out of the way, and I'm going to fold along that flap, and I'm also going to fold up my in fact I'm going to use my bone folder, because everything sits nicer and flatter when you're making any kind of 3D item. Always sits nicer when you use a bone folder. All right, now also want to bring my scissors in, and it doesn't matter which side you do this from, but what I want to do is I actually want to cut my flap so it's got the same angle as this. So the easiest way to do that, where these two score lines intersect, I'm just going to start down here, and I'm going to cut that whole corner off so that this angle and this angle are very similar. If you don't get them the same, either tuck your flap in, or you can always come back and neaten it up later and make them the same. Okay, so I've just taken that whole corner off and gone through the center of where those two score lines intersect. Right, and then it's just a matter of adding some glue. Whatever strong glue you have, it needs to be strong, so I wouldn't recommend snail, but fuse would be fine, tear and tape would be fine. All right, and I'm going to, with the glue on it, I'm going to fold that flap over and then just fold the whole thing in half. Okay, and so then it's folded over. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue down here on my flap, and I'm going to fold that up. And then I have myself a little pouch. Okay, simple as that. All right, then we come to decorating it. Okay, so the ones I've done here, they're you could do a million different things with these. You really could just decorate to your heart's content. But what I've done is I've actually used some of the designer series paper. Here is some of it right here. Okay, this piece, this is like a belly band around it. So the measurements for the belly band to go around are the whole thing. I've made it a bit longer than this because I didn't want to struggle with it being a little too tight. I'd rather be able to slide on easily if that's what you want to do. So I made this whole thing 4 3/4 of an inch long. Okay, then I want to bring your scoring blade back in. Just double check my measurements. Yep, 4 3/4, that's correct. And then doesn't matter which side you score on. I don't think it makes any difference. We're going to score it at 2 1/4, and then 4 1/2, and that's going to leave you a little flap over at the end. Okay, because remember we started with 4 3/4, so by doing your measurement at 2 1/4 and then 4 1/2, you're going to have a little flap at the end, and that's going to be the right measurement for that. So for this to go around, you can do a couple of things. You can either put it together first and then slide it over the end. Because I've made it a little bigger, it will slide over, or I always think it's better just to pop it around. And then I'm going to put my glue on the little flap just there, and once again I am going to fold that right in half. Okay, if you don't want it to move, then you could certainly glue it in place. If you do want it to move, then leave it just as it is. Now, it's shorter at the front than it is at the back, and you might notice that this one comes down and this one doesn't. If that bothers you, and it does bother me, I just cut it so that it was the same. So just sort of went in a little bit and trimmed it. You get the idea anyway. I'll probably pay a bit more attention to that. I also decorated the bottom of this one with some of the stamps from the set. These are like little coffee beans, and I'm using early espresso ink to do that. And I've slid my belly band up because I want these down the bottom. And I'm just going to go in and just turning it different ways so they're not all completely the same. you get an idea of what we're doing anyway. You could go all the way down to the bottom, or you could just do like a band of them. But these are really cute little stamps. The coffee beans are so cute. Right, so I'll just go that far this time just so we can see what that looks like. You can see it went all the way to the bottom. I quite like it going all the way to the bottom here. I've used Early Espresso. This colour is slightly different. This one's soft suede, so it really doesn't matter. The colour in the paper here is soft suede, but you can go either way. Okay, then I've got a heart that this is actually cut for. This is one of the hearts in the mini treat bag set that we're just using, and I would pop a couple of dimensionals behind those and pop that straight on. I mean, this is so simple, but doesn't it look cute? I did actually use a little bit of this gold trim that we have, and I tied that around. I won't do that right now. It'd be pretty boring watching me tie a bow, but you can see that that really adds to it as well. And as far as the coffee cup, in this case, that's actually not a stamp. This is one of the bits of paper, and you can see I've cut it out right here. We actually have a little die in the coffee cup framelits that cuts out that little coffee cup. How cute is that? Look, see, it fits. Love it. And that's what I've used right here. Okay, so I've just cut it straight out of the paper to give you an idea. All right, so that's that one. The other one, the Vellum one, just so that you can see what I did with that. I used one of the, we used to have these, sometimes can get them on the clearance rack, but we used to have these little long skinny cello bags, which are great for putting all sorts of little treats and lollies and things in. But in this case, I've used it with coffee, which I thought looked really nice. And I've actually done the same measurements for the belly band here, exactly the same as I did on the other one that you just saw me do. And just to give you an idea, I also used a 1 1/4 inch punch, so this is more of that paper. The 1 1/4 inch circle punch, this one, right? And before you glue down the sides, so while you're still got it open, you would just slide your punch. You can use a framelit too. We have the layering circles framelits. I just slid my punch in there and went right through. If I wanted it to go through the belly band as well, like I did with this one, then I would actually position my belly band, like with the school lines and everything, where I want it to go. Just say I've decided it's going to go here, okay, and then I would go through both layers. You won't have any trouble with the punch, or with the framelit for that matter, going through both levels. You could even glue that down first if you wanted to, and then position this right in the middle and cut through both. Okay, I didn't need to put an acetate window in or anything, because when you're using a cello bag, that provides you with a nice little window, so that's really good. I just tied a bit more of that trim around, and I cut one of the different coffee cups out of that same paper with the same little framelit. I hope you enjoyed that today. These are heaps of fun, and it's a great set if you have a coffee or a beverage loving friend who you'd like to give a little gift to. It's awesome. Thanks guys, see you again soon. Bye.